Hi there, it's Daryl with another board gem. Last week, for the first board gem, I covered my favorite board game of all time, Ave Caesar. But that's for a larger group of 4 to 6 players. My favorite two-player game is the second board gem I will cover, and that's Rosenkönig. I hope I pronounced that well, I don't speak German. I did the best I could. So it's Rosenkönig, which is in English, the Rose King. That's a direct translation. The German edition's been out for 20 years or longer. The English edition, the first English edition, only came out just a couple of years ago, 2017, 2018, something like that. It sold over 100,000 copies before that, so it's a real evergreen for its publisher, Kosmos. It's designed by Dirk Henn, takes about a half hour to play, and it's for ages 10 and up, according to the box. Not to say younger children couldn't play it, but it's a little bit dry and thinky. So to get them to sit down for a half-hour thinky board game, you want a little bit of maturity in that kid in order to play this game. So that's why they put 10 and up. But it's a simple game to learn. I'd love to talk more about it, because it's my favorite two-player game. But first I want to teach you how to play, and then afterwards I'll go over why I think it's a board gem. To set up the game, place the board in the middle of the table. Take the crown piece and place it in the middle. Give each player 4 hero cards of their color, red or white. I'll explain how hero cards work later. Shuffle up the regular deck of cards and give each player 5. In this game, cards are dealt face up, so you can see each other's cards. When you place the cards on the table, make sure the crown on the card is oriented in the same direction as the crown on the board. That way both players' cards are oriented the same way. The winner is a player who has the most points at the end. You get points by having tokens of your color on the board. One token all by itself is just worth 1 point. So right now, this is worth 3 points. But the points go up by a lot if you can get tokens next to each other. This is just worth 1 point, but this is worth 4 points. This is worth 9. So each group of connected tokens is equal in points to the number of tokens multiplied by itself. 3 tokens means 3 times 3, that equals 9 points. If you're math adverse, don't worry about it. Every edition I've seen has a table in the back of the rules to help you. But know that the winner is going to be the player who is best able to make large groups of tokens. A group of 12 connected tokens is going to be worth 144 points. Whereas 12 individual tokens is only worth 12. That's a huge difference. So you want to try to make big groups of tokens. On your turn, you play one of the 5 cards you have in your hand. You move the crown that many spaces in the direction shown on the sword. So in this case, red would be moving the crown 2 spaces in this direction. And in the empty space, placing a token of their color. And then it's white's turn. White maybe plays this card and moves 3 spaces in that direction and places a token. Now on your turn, you either play a card or draw a card. If you have a hand full of 5 cards, like you did at the start of the game, you can only play a card. If you have a hand of no cards, then you must draw a card. Now, this player can choose whether to play a card or to draw a card. You can play one of these 4 or draw a new card to add to their hand. When you play a card, you can't play a card such that the crown moves off the board. So if a player were to try to play this card now, they would not be allowed to, because it would move the crown off the board. You also, in general, are not allowed to move a crown onto an occupied space, but it is possible to do that sometimes with the use of one-time hero cards. In order to explain how the hero cards work, I'm going to fast forward this game a little bit, and then I'll check back with you later. Okay, I fast forwarded a little bit. We're probably about halfway through the game, and it's now white's turn. Now white has a couple of options. She can draw a card, because she has room to draw. She could play this card, which will move the crown here and add a white token. She cannot play this card, because that would move the crown here, and it's already occupied by her token, so that card is not allowed. Now you'll see if she plays this card, that would move to a space occupied by her opponent. But this is allowed with the use of a hero card. So one-time use, you start with 4. To use a hero card, you take one of your hero cards, take it out of the game, and play a card to move your crown to a space occupied by your opponent. And in doing so, you get to flip the token to your color. So now, instead of 3 separate groups, each totaling 26 points, now it's a single group of 9, and it totals 81 points. That's much better. So one of the key points in this game to score a large number of points is to make large groups of tokens, and playing your hero cards at the right time is a huge part of that. If you have a hand full of cards, and the only card you can, there's only one card that you can play, you must play that card. You don't have a choice. You can't choose to pass. And if playing that one card means you have to play a hero card, then again, you have to do it. So you can actually play hero cards in situations when you don't want to. That's a part of the game. But if you can't play even with the use of a hero card, then you must pass. So maybe your opponent will be able to take multiple turns in a row. And one of the ways the games can end is if both players have a handful of 5 cards and can't play any of them, even with the use of hero cards. The game will end in that case. The game will also end if all the tokens are on the board. It's about 50 or so. So when the game ends, players total up their points from every group on the board. These would just be worth 1. This would be worth 16. This would be worth 81. You'll probably want a pencil and paper to total up your score. And the player with the highest score wins. That's it. You're ready to play the Rose King. So I'd like to talk to you about why I think this is a gem of a game. It hasn't really gotten a huge amount of attention ever on this side of the Atlantic, but it has sold 100,000 copies in presumably mostly Europe. So it's an evergreen there, but it hasn't really gotten any attention here because it's only ever had an English edition printed just recently, just a couple of years ago. And I don't think that sold great. So it's very possible that people will or hobbyists won't really look at this game very much, but I want people to take a second look at this because this is my favorite 2-player game of all time. And the reason is that it strikes that perfect balance between thinkiness and randomness and variability. Sometimes people just like a fun game where you just see what happens and it's kind of random. The game I talked about last week is like that, Ave Caesar. And then there are games in which you can think very hard. Now, obviously, you have examples like chess or Go, where the look ahead is crazy long, but you also have games with a huge decision space, really complex Euro games, that on my turn I could do like 20, 30 different things. And I actually have a problem with those games because I suffer from analysis paralysis. So some of those games, they just freeze me up. I can't play them. The Rose King has the perfect balance to me of randomness, but also look ahead, of thinkiness. Because the decision space isn't very big. At most, you only ever have 5 choices. That's if you have a handful of cards and you have to play something. 5 choices, that's it. And those choices that you make, you can see the result of them or the likely result of them because you can also see your opponent's cards. So for each choice, you can say, well, if I do this, she'll do that, but maybe I can counter with this. No, that's not a good idea. Let me try this one. But you only have 5 choices, or at most, so you have to do something. But because you don't know what cards people are going to draw in the future, it limits the look ahead. Probably at most, you can look ahead 2 moves, at most. But still, that's a level of thinkiness that I like. So you can plan ahead, you can look, and you can plot out your moves a little bit. So I really like that aspect to it. It's got a thinkiness. Of course, it's really simple. That's always a plus for me. Really simple to explain. I know it's kind of abstract. Some people want a theme. The theme doesn't really matter in a game like this. It's just an abstract game, so it's fine to me. I like a theme too, but it's never bothered me with this game. I really love the decision regarding when to play your hero cards. This is brilliant, because without the hero cards, once you put a piece on the board, that would be it. It would be there forever. And so if a player gets a big group of pieces together early on, and you don't, you might as well resign. Like, you don't have a chance. But the hero cards allow you to kind of turn the tables, right? Even the largest group is vulnerable in the middle, so if you can get the king pawn in there and you can play a hero card, you can take over those middle pieces, maybe create your own big group. So those hero cards really make or break the game. And it's a wonderful decision when to play them. I've played games in which I've burned through my hero cards too early, and then my opponent would just play hero cards and just undo all the work that I did. But you see the reverse too. Sometimes I've played games in which one player still had hero cards left in her hand, and she was like, "Oh, I should have played them earlier. They're wasted now," right? So it's a really critical decision. It's like, well, I could use my hero card here, but should I? Or should I hang on to it until maybe later? So I just love the decisions in this game. It's super simple to learn, but it's really nice and thinky. I love this game. It is a board gem for me. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you next time.